Good morning. It's 7:07 a.m. It is February 4th. Oh my gosh. February 4th, and it's Wednesday morning. And so this is my first video of the day. So I thought I'd come on here and discuss the way I feel. Let me take these earplugs out of my ear. I always leave my earplugs in. Yes, I wear earplugs at night because, I don't want to have any outside sound coming in. And that's another reason why I listen to music at night, not just for relaxation, but I could hear the music through my earplugs. I just don't want to hear people talking or snoring or anything like that. So I wear earplugs to prevent that. It's a distraction. So anyway, I'm on here today, and I was thinking about, where do I begin? Where do I begin? And my biggest issue right now is, I feel a lot of stress and I need to get back to a daily routine. And it has been very difficult. I know that I talked about my stalker, and I'm only going to look at her as my stalker. I think that she caused me a lot of problems. And something about reincarnation by natural birth. Yes, reincarnation can happen by natural birth. But anyway, and I don't know why that's floating around in my head, but yeah, reincarnation can happen by natural birth. I know that I was a clone, and I guess I accept that. But anyway, so what was caused in the community was a lot of bullying and a lot of what do you call it, inappropriate behavior in one form or another that I had to deal with. And I myself am tired of dealing with it, and I have been dealing with it since leaving Murray Family Farms, and in some form or another. And so, I'm doing the best I can to get back to work. It is very traumatizing for me and very uncomfortable for me to have to deal with everything that I dealt with, knowing that I was a victim of a hate crime. Okay, so I deal with hurdles, obstacles, issues that a lot of people don't have to think about. And, I feel as though, uh, you know, I feel as though I know a lot on this subject when it comes to gang stalking. So this is one of the reasons why I make a lot of videos about it. There's not a day that goes by that I don't resent Sarah's involvement in my life, because it has created problems for me and has set me back many years because of it. I would have never. I don't believe in networks unless, of course, it's consensual. Okay, and I was never consenting to this network. And I feel as though, her bullying was causing me a lot of mental problems because I only know how to operate and function by myself, as myself. Okay, I am not somebody who, it's different. Like when you work at work, you're working as a team. You're prepared to work for a team because you're at work. When it comes to this network, I was not prepared to be within this network. I resented the network. I hated the network. And there was no legal reason why I should have been a part of the network, which I had made very clear over and over again. And it's basically, it almost feels like somebody was tying you into a chair against your will and forcing their stuff onto you. And it was a nightmare because, these people create financial devastations. Like I said, my vehicle got repossessed because of them. I lost my credit because of them. Okay. um, if you're in a network, your network should take in consideration that you have obligations, you have responsibilities, and to yourself mostly than anyone else. This particular group, Sarah only thought about herself. She only thought about herself. I am not somebody who ever wants to dedicate my time, my resources into a network. Okay. And that's not selfish. It's just it makes sense, especially if I was never aware that there was one to begin with. And the problem with it is that, I'm sitting here trying to make plans for myself based on my own unique experiences, and she is sitting here trying to instruct my path when she doesn't have the right to do so, nor the clear vision of where I needed to go. Okay, so I resent people doing that to me. Okay. And so the fact that people thought that I was supposed to be in a network, or I was supposed to be, or that even associating me with her name pisses me off. And it's something that I cannot overlook. It just boils my blood. Because if somebody really thinks that another person has rights over another person, then they really do need to be educated. Okay. So this issue has caused me a lot of problems, and obviously I'm only focused on going back to work. I only want to go back to work, and the reason why is because I need to get out of the house. I feel as though she put me in this situation, and I'm not happy just being at work. I mean, being at home. You're not. I've been at home for almost a year now. Okay, I left Laverne and Son about a year ago. Okay, it was in late February that I lost my job at Laverne and Son. Okay, and so I've been out of work for a year. Okay, and I'm tired of not working. I'm tired of not working. I would have never allowed myself to be out of work this long. I would have never done that. If she was really a good leader within this network, she would have not have done that. But she had her own plans. She wanted to sabotage my life. Then she strategically had my son move in here. Then she started dictating this and then having all of this nonsense. Okay. Sarah was just a stalker who had her own motives. She had some weird competition going on with me that I would have never participated in. And what she did was she used the opportunity to take me off course. Okay, and I am way off course, and I'm never going to get back on course when it comes to being a CPA or anything like that. So what I'm trying to do is just find work. Okay, and it's been a nightmare. Okay, um, I'm angry that she created some sort of competition. I don't believe in competitions unless, of course, you're consenting to them. I have too many things in my life that I have to deal with as a person who is all by themselves. Yes, I have a son, but I don't believe in sitting here dumping my responsibilities on my son. See, the fact that she arranged this and then my son moved, I'm fine with it. Apparently, Houston's fine living here. That's fine, okay? But I don't ever want somebody being responsible for me. It's not fair. It's not moral. It's not anything that I even accept. I don't accept it. Why? Because I look at him as somebody who has his own life. He has his own will. He has his own drive. He has his own desires. And how dare I, what do you call it? Uh, uh, Damage that or cause him to not live a fulfilled life, to obligate him. See, Sarah may come from a tradition or background to where maybe her family believes in that. Okay, and that's fine for their family, especially if she consents to that. After the age of 18, she still believes that she's somehow connected to her family or has some sort of family responsibilities. I was not raised with family responsibilities. Do where like sometimes some families they work as a unit, and like when the kids get older, then they work in a family own business or they contribute to the family resources in some way. I was not raised with that belief system. I was not raised with that at all. By the time we were 18, we were all supposed to have our own individual lives. So Sarah comes in with her nonsense and tries to obligate me into her stupid group, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate the fact she ever came into my life at all. The message I'm getting right now is that people are recognizing that I put up with it, the battle that I should not have put up with. Okay, I should have never had to deal with what Sarah did, and I'm very traumatized that this went on as long as it did. And no, I don't forgive the people who got involved in it. Okay, I don't forgive them. Why? Because it was a hate crime. Period. Okay. So people do respect the fact that I'm acknowledging this. People do respect the fact that I'm trying to get back on my feet. People do recognize the fact that I had nothing to do with this, nor would I have ever I would have never had anything to do with this. Okay. Obviously, Sarah had beliefs that I don't believe in, and I do believe that she became fanatical. Something about she wanted to insist that my son got married. When it comes to our specific bloodline, okay, like my bloodline, I know that I've struggled because of my bloodline. I am not saying that I'm going to tell you, first of all, that I love who I am. I love CB Berganza. I love his history. I am never going to be ashamed of that at all. At all. Okay. But I also have to acknowledge the fact that my bloodline, me specifically, dealt with things that were unfair that should have never happened to me as Maria Gordon as well as CB Braganza. So no, I am not somebody who supports cloning, nor do I think it's ideal to create new life in the world from my bloodline. Why? Because there is nothing that the earth or its systems have to offer to my people, to people like me. Okay? Because I deal with unfair bullshit all the time, right? Why would I want to purposely put somebody in a situation like that? I would not. Okay, so there are some people who make a smart decision to end their bloodline right then and there. So the right message I'm getting right now is that there is peace in heaven. Okay, so these people who are a part of this cult, Sarah included, all died, right? They all died for their stupid cause. Now they ended up regretting it once they passed over. Now there's peace in heaven because you know why? I meditated and I prayed about this issue. Now they understand it from my perspective. No, I don't believe my bloodline should continue on. I believe my bloodline should, I believe I need to live my life to the fullest extent that I can while I'm here. Okay? My son needs to do the same thing. If he chooses not to have any children, that is his choice. That is his choice, okay? And it's really rude for people to invade other people's space or try to force people into situations, which I believe Sarah was trying to do, and I don't forgive it. I do not forgive people who try to enforce their shit on other people. Okay, so now this issue is resolved. This is one of the issues that CB Braganza was confronted with, persecuted for, and judged for because he did not want to get married. Okay, that was one of his issues. Well, a lot of people have different versions of what marriage is. Okay, and apparently what was being offered to me was not my version of marriage or the state of California's version of marriage. Okay, so now we resolved that issue, and now I can check that off the list. I'm going to be adding other things onto the list in my newsletter about what was held against me and what is now clarified. Because I will tell you, a lot of this has to do with just outright racism, okay, and the unfair treatment of using CB Berganza for his resources and giving him nothing. Like I said, this reflects poorly on the church and these religious institutions. Why? And the message I'm getting right now is peace in heaven. So the people who knew this issue relating to this time period, as well as the people who have died at CB Berganza's time period, who may not be appearing on the earth. There is peace in heaven now because these people know that they were in the wrong. They misjudged this man and made this person suffer, made me suffer because of. See, the thing is, this is why I'm talking about morals, rules, the difference between rude and harassment. Okay, I will tell you, no one has the right to inflict their will onto another person. Okay, we all have our choices. We have the right to make choices. When people become irate or they become too aggressive in their attempts to try to either force you into the religion, your lifestyle, or whatever, you have the right to go seek legal protection, get a restraining order, okay, whatever. But the point is that these whether law enforcement in some way, whether that be lawyers, people who help keep, what do you call it? Uh, Restraining orders in place and actually keep them active. Like if somebody violates it, people need to respond on that immediately. Law enforcement in general needs correction. Okay, they also need to be able to stop letting religious issues influence their work. Okay, that it is as simple as that. Okay, you're either a lawyer, and which means when you're a lawyer, you are exercising the law. Okay, that means that you are making sure that nothing is going to prevent you from making the correct decision. You are not supposed to be swayed, and unfortunately, a lot of people were swayed in this situation with Sarah's campaign. I'm here to let people know, and I did make a public service announcement. I am not associated with Sarah. Do not associate with me with Sarah. Sarah was a stalker, and that's all she's ever going to be to me. Okay, she has led me astray. She purposely did this to me, and it was abuse. And whatever lie she used, it was all a lie. I don't even know this woman, never saw this woman. I was never in a relationship, polygamous with her, nor was I somebody who was trying to break up her marriage with Bruce. Okay, people get bored and they want to cause problems for other people, and this is something I'm 100% against. I don't believe in gang stalking or gang stalking activities. I will never sit here and relay a message on behalf of somebody else to even participate in something like this. Okay, and now that you know what it is, you need to ask yourself, are you somebody who's willing to do that? Because I will tell you, it's wrong. It's wrong. Every time. All the time. It is never of any value to do that. And if you do it, then you obviously know that you have some sort of ill intention in your heart to do it. Because it's immoral. Period. Okay? The message I'm giving right now is that people do recognize, the whole issue with the Swan Song Manifesto, the whole issue I find very offensive. Like I said, I don't like people dictating any part of my work. I don't like people attaching themselves to me. And I don't like people, especially if they have a different view, trying to direct my work into something that's going to fit their ideals. My work is my work. It either accepted as it is, it does not get modified. And Sarah was trying to take liberty over my stuff. Okay. And I resent it. I really, really resent that. Okay. So moving on from Sarah. Today I want it to be productive. I want my day to be productive. Okay. I've got phone calls I have to make, and I have left messages for people. I am tired. Like, I'm trying to get the community to respond to my messages. Okay. I'm tired of dealing with it. It's like, if you can't be professional, then you have to question your position. You should not be in that position. Okay. Right now, the entire community has to, what do you call it? Acknowledge what happened and move on. Okay, it doesn't need. I'm not going to bring it up. I know this. To me, I'm uncomfortable talking to people. Why? Because of everything that happened that I had no control over, and I will never trust anybody. But the fact of the matter is, life still has to go on, and business still has to be conducted. So if I call people, then I expect you to return my phone call. Okay. This is a legal. It should have been a legal issue. It should not be a religious issue. Doesn't I gave the example in one of my videos. I'm wrapping this video up. I'm going to be sending it out. It's called Religion in the Workplace, and it's about some people get into. You might have a specific religion, and certain things maybe within your work environment may be something that's against your religion. For example, you might work a retail job, right? And I'm weird about things like Ouija boards. I don't like Ouija boards. I don't like them. Okay, and I don't want to play with them either. And I will not bring one into my house. Now I have a little miniature one because it's kind of it's a joke, right? It's like a joke thing. But like I wouldn't have one. So let's just say, for example, you might be a Baptist, right? And you work at a toy store, and somebody comes up at the register and they want to purchase a Ouija board. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, you won't buy it yourself, so what do? You work for the employer. It's your responsibility to make sure that they don't lose that sale. In some cases, if you are somebody who has a struggles with that, like for example, it hurts your conscience that you are selling a Ouija board, then maybe you need to talk to your boss about maybe not working a cashier that day, or maybe you have to arrange something. I don't know. Okay, but there's certain things that prevent people or could create problems in your workplace uh, relating to that. Okay, and I do understand that the employers have a responsibility to accommodate people who have those special needs, right? But if it's going to cause a hardship to the business, they don't have to recognize that. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, it's like sometimes people do things that are inappropriate, like using that opportunity. Let's just say, for example, you don't play with the Ouija board, so you sit here and go into this whole spiel to a customer about why you don't play with the Ouija board. Okay, now the company just lost a sale because of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, that's not the time to prophesize. Okay, prophesizing should not be done at work. It should be done outside of the work hours. You know what I mean? At your job, you are there for the job. Okay. And like I said, if it bothers your conscience to sell a Ouija board, well, then maybe you should do stalking or something else, instead of, doing something that's going to conflict with your religion. You know what I mean? But whatever the case is, my spiritual views, um, my spiritual views are, I believe they are correct. I don't go into them. I don't like to discuss them. I'm angry that this ever happened, but then I understand that people were talking about my father's apparition. From what I understand, my father's apparition came and appeared because I was in need of protection. I was in need of protection. And I was being attacked, and I was being plotted against, and people were conspiring against me before I even knew it. And who was conspiring? Who was doing it? Sarah. Sarah was doing it, and she was using people like employers, important people to do it, right? She had no right to do that. That is criminal. So if I call you, if I made a phone call and I left a message, I do expect you to call me back. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that yes, this is a legal issue, and then other people agree that this issue uh, points to a flaw in the legal system. Okay, Sarah should have never been able to convince any lawyer in this community to assist her. Because if a lawyer was really smart, okay, they would have thought, okay, this sounds like a discrimination case. It is a discrimination case. Why are they listening to this woman? Why is it that I'm not supposed to get any compensation for the damages that were done? Okay, so it was wrong. And these lawyers who jumped on board, they should have recognized it. And if they brought religion into it, then they should have definitely recognized it. Okay, because that should have never been considered a part of any sort of work related issue. Okay, now something about this issue about a natural birth. No, I don't believe. I do not want to come back natural birth or by clone. Okay, I really do believe that it's time for me to end my Earth journey after it's time for me to go. Okay, my son may feel the same way. I'm not somebody who I'm not gung ho about having grandchildren. I'm not gung ho about having grandchildren. Why? Because things are not run correctly. There's all kinds of crime that can, that goes on. People can be placed in vulnerable situations, so on and so forth. Okay, so no, I do not agree with coming back. I don't agree with coming back. And see, if my son decides to have the same view, then he has a right to do that. Why would we want to come back to a earth where we struggle, right? Why would I want to come back to a system to where I could be blacklisted for 10 consecutive years at the will of somebody who doesn't even belong in my life? Okay. No, I don't want to come back. Now, what I do enjoy about Earth is I enjoy its resources. I enjoy, like, mountains, lakes, trees, the sky, the things that, but no, I do not believe that things are run correctly. There's too much corruption. So when it comes to, so I think maybe people were trying to persecute my son because of his choice of not getting married. It's none of your business. It's none of your business. And the message I'm getting is right now is that because, and this is silly, because people look at me as famous because the Swan Song Manifesto is worldwide. That to me is no reason to extend a bloodline. That is not a reason to extend a bloodline. Now, it would be a reason to extend a bloodline if we were billionaires. If we were billionaires, then that would be different. You know why? Because that way, uh, we wouldn't have those. We wouldn't have to worry. We wouldn't have to toil, right? We wouldn't have to toil, right? We would be able to live without having to deal with any sort of conflict or any sort of issues. We could live peacefully with that money, right? But we don't have that. So to me, unless of course you can guarantee somebody's financial wealth, then be careful about bringing people onto this earth. The message I'm getting right now is that hell is a continuation of unresolved resentments that can carry over into the afterlife. Live peacefully, okay? And the message I'm getting is that there is peace in heaven. So now these people realize that they made fools of themselves. They caused all kinds of problems where they should not have caused them, and now they're at peace and good. Okay. Now, when it's time for me to go to heaven, I do not ever want to interact with these people. It's better that they forget me out of their minds. And the message I'm also getting, though, is that some of these people have tried to attach themselves to me spiritually, meaning, like, some of these dead people are fans of mine, compulsive, obsessive fans. And yes, at moments of death, when things like this happen, they can inhabit your objects. Okay, and yes, they are considered to still be in heaven. How does this work? When you are in heavenly state, you can come closer to the earth's surface. You can fly around. You can hang out in clouds. You can do all kinds of stuff. Okay, and some of these people choose to use their time hanging out in my objects. It is what it is. Okay. So anyway, the message I'm getting right now, it is time to purge all memories of the past, only time to focus on positive things. Well, I'm trying to focus on positive things. So one of the things that would help me do that and get over this issue is if I make a phone call to you, please return my calls. If I sit here and send you emails, send me an email back. We can't get over this unless, of course, we see movement. And I'm tired of people playing games. It's like, stop continuing. It's like some people continue the issue. It needs to stop. Okay, I don't want to remember this issue. This issue should have never happened to begin with. It was wrong. It was evil, and it was something that I would have never participated in. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video, unless, of course, there's something else I want to say. Let me see if there's something else I want to cover. Okay, so it is agreed. People do realize there is a difference between religion and law. There is definitely a difference between religion and law. Law is something that applies to everybody. Okay, and secular laws encompass many different areas. It encompasses business, employment, marriage, family, uh, general, that type things, like how we get along, conduct, whatever. Okay, laws have to apply to everybody. Everybody must abide by the law, or they would be responsible for some sort of penalty, whether that be a penalty of a fine, a penalty of maybe imprisonment, depending on how big it is. That could be murder, it could be embezzlement, it could be all kinds of different things. Okay, everybody has to follow the law. Okay, not everybody has to follow religion. Okay, and see, this is the difference between what I'm getting people to understand. And see, yes, Sarah was ignorant. She really did. And see, Sarah may have been a reflection of what she was raised with. Okay, some religious families instill fear in the members in their family. So, like, let's just say, for example, when Sarah was a little girl, her dad could have told her, right, just to keep her in fear, that if women don't do this, 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 and this, they can get locked up in jail. And see, in her mind, she might think, okay, now religion is mixing up with actual law. Okay, no, she cannot go to jail for something that she did outside of her religion. But see, some people who are ignorant and who also want to exercise control could instill these fears into their kids. And see, maybe Sarah was only attacking me based off what she knew and how she was raised in her family. Okay, that's a possibility. I really don't want to sit here and think about the pathology of Sarah, day in and day out. As a matter of fact, I'm disturbed when I think about her. Last night, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had messages coming through my mind. I am finding this situation, I am very disturbed that she was able to do what she did. Okay, and I would like her to be purged from my memory completely. Okay, and it's for my own good. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care.